What's going on, everybody? My name is Alex Wilson from Fireside Giants, an Empire Sports Media production. You're listening to the Fireside Giants podcast. If you're a diehard Giants fan, you've come to the right place, my friends. Daily episodes. Make sure to drop a like and a subscription below on YouTube. And don't forget to leave a comment. We love to engage with everybody. Now, today's episode, I want to take a look at some crazy trade back scenario I mustered up yesterday, was looking up the teams that the Giants could really consider trading back with. And I think I found a pretty insane kind of group of teams that could be willing to move up, especially if some quarterbacks fall. There are reports coming out that Desmond Ridder out of Cincinnati is a guy that a lot of teams have a first round grade on, so maybe he's in the mix. Of course, you got Kenny Pickett from Pittsburgh and Malik Willis from Liberty. Now, the Giants are an extremely leverage-oriented spot with 5 and 7. I think that they'll stay put at 5 unless they have a huge haul on the line, but I think the 7th overall pick is really where they can cash in and move back and get a lot more draft capital. Now, I tried to come up with something just absolutely out of this world that would land the Giants an extra first-round pick this year and in 2023. So you have the opportunity to go get your quarterback if Daniel Jones doesn't end up like blowing us out of the water this upcoming season, and you have another first rounder in the mid round this year that you can spend on another premium talent to help this team. Of course, that probably means you're missing out on a Kayvon Thibodeau or a Sauce Gardner or even an offensive tackle. The Giants have done a lot of research on day 2 tackles. So that's definitely a consideration for the team if the draft plays out a certain way. But let's dive into this trade back. It's really, really interesting. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. So right off the bat, I do want to mention the Giants don't have a ton of money. I think that there are ways to create money, and if you're going to somehow figure this out and go this route, they'll find the money. I think right now they have about $6.5 million available. Of course, James Bradbury would open up another $11.5 million, about, I think, $11.7 million. So you're looking at about $18 million. It's plenty to go out and sign your draft class. You need a little bit more just to maneuver during the season in case of injury and stuff, but I think it's a good number. You can sign all your guys this year. But right off the bat, this is the mock draft scenario. So 5th overall, the Giants stay put and they land Evan Neal out of Alabama. I am a huge Evan Neal fan. He's a freaking monster. He might not have the most upside out of the tackles, the top 3 guys in Charles Cross and Ikem Ekwonu, but I do believe Evan Neal is the most NFL ready, and he's going to be an impact player day 1 with the all-pro potential. He has the potential to be there, but maybe the other guys have a little bit more given their versatility. Evan Neal's played both right tackle and left tackle. When he first became a starter, he played right tackle for Alabama, so he has experience there. He can immediately make an impact on the right side. Andrew Thomas and Evan Neal as the Giants tackles next season is a dream come true. Upgrading from Nate Solder to Neal would be tremendous. And I think that Joe Shane has already indicated that the team is looking at a best player available approach. So I think that is definitely like the forefront of their mind, unless they have a huge deal, which I will discuss in a second at 7th overall. But Evan Neal, I think NFL ready. He's a tremendous fit for the Giants. He's physical. He's aggressive, a good pass protector, and he's a really good run blocker as well. So I think that this is a guy who they could really develop and build with the new coaching staff and Bobby Johnson. That's just another great player for him to coach up, and really hopefully this coaching staff is a lot better than we've had in the past. As we know, Joe Judge's coaching staff struggled a lot, moved on from Mark Colombo, Jason Garrett too. Freddie Kitchens gone. The defensive side, similar. I really actually liked Patrick Graham. I just think that they were on the field all game long. So like how much success could they possibly have when they don't have any time to breathe? But Evan Neal at 5, 7th overall. This is where things start to get interesting. There's a couple teams that come to mind for me when I think about the teams that actually could move up in the draft and are looking for a quarterback. So Seattle, I know they have Drew Lock now, but if they're really convinced Drew Lock is the answer after trading Russell Wilson, I think they got those bath salts in stock. I think Seattle's going to be in the market for a quarterback. I also think Atlanta will be in the market for a quarterback. Of course, they traded Matt Ryan to the Colts. So really interesting kind of maneuvering there. And I think Seattle may look to leapfrog Atlanta to get the quarterback of their choice, the Giants being at 7th overall. Look to capitalize on this. So how do the Giants view this? They say, you know what, we actually want to get that 2023 first round pick. Of course, Seattle got a ton of draft capital from Denver in the monster trade, including a future 2023 first rounder. So I think this is the opportunity. They also got the 2022 9th overall pick. So the Giants say, we want that first rounder. We know Denver might be good because Russell Wilson, but we need that extra spot because if we're a top 10 draft pick next year and we want to trade up, that whatever mid 20, low 20 pick could be enough to move up and get our guy. And honestly, if you're looking at Bryce Young or CJ Stroud or even what's his name? I forget. There's a couple other guys available, but those are the two main ones. You may need a higher pick to package, but the Giants, if they really like Young or they really like Stroud, they're going to just move up. They're going to do whatever it takes to get their guy. So I'm not too worried about that. They can always use their 2024 first rounder. Get your quarterback. They already have a foundation built, assuming that they land a nice pass rusher and an offensive tackle. They have the offensive line built, and their defense is developing. And they have some wide receivers under contract. So I'm not totally against using future draft capital to maximize your position, especially in 2023. So 7th overall, the Giants trade back with Seattle, who leapfrog Atlanta for Malik Willis specifically in this scenario. The Giants give up the 7th overall pick and their second round pick. So they gave up their 7th overall pick this year and a second round pick this year for the 9th overall pick. So they move back 2 spots, and Denver's 2023 first rounder. I know a lot of people want to keep that this year's second round pick, but I'll tell you why it makes sense just in a minute when we talk about the 9th overall pick and what the Giants can do there. But 7th overall pick, you move back 2 spots to 9, you give up your second round pick, which is the 36th overall, and you get Denver's 2023. And why does this make sense for Seattle? Well, they get an extra second round pick, and they're like, we don't know where Denver is going to land. We think they're going to be a good team. It could be a back end first rounder. So that's a good deal for us. I think it's fair. The Giants get their 2023 first rounder, so they have some leverage in terms of moving up to get a quarterback, some good insurance, and they also move back a couple spots, and they have another opportunity to take advantage of the 9th overall spot where Kenny Pickett is sitting, or even Desmond Ritter, who teams really like and has a first round grade. So there are teams that could move up. Considering how many quarterbacks went in the top 15 last year, it's fair to say that these players are going to need a year to develop anyway. I think that teams will fall in love with them. So at the 9th overall pick, the Giants are sitting there like, maybe we go for a Jermaine Johnson. Maybe we go for a Derek Stingley out of LSU. There's a couple guys who go, but the New Orleans Saints come calling. And the New Orleans Saints want that 9th overall pick because they want Kenny Pickett, who's sitting there, and they're scared. Washington, they're scared of a couple teams saying, maybe we'll move on. I know Washington got Carson Wentz, but how committed are they really to him? Who knows? Maybe they want to develop a guy behind the scenes. Kenny Pickett is sitting there, and they want to make sure they get their guy. And the Giants are like, okay, you got to give us 16th and 19th overall. The Saints obviously just got a ton of value, trading their 2023 first rounder with the Eagles. So I think that they're like, we want to get our quarterback. We're willing to do it. The Giants may have to give up another, I don't know, another pick or whatnot. So I think it's worth to do because you get 2 first round picks back. So you replace that second round pick that you lost in trading with Seattle. I think that makes a lot of sense because we really need that second round pick. That could be an offensive lineman, that could be a pass rusher, a cornerback. And instead the Giants say, let's get 2 first round picks instead of that second rounder. And people will say, we want that 36 overall, but would you rather have the 36 overall or the 16th and 19th overall picks? I'm going to go with the 3 first round picks this year, and you get a 2023 first rounder. So I imagine this is kind of getting confusing at this point because there's a lot of picks going around, but I'll overview the whole thing in a second of this insane trade back deal that I think is actually quite genius. But the Giants move from 9th back to 16th, and they get the 19th overall pick where they land Andrew Booth Jr. So they get a nice man press coverage corner out of Clemson with some good upside. He's not Derek Stingley, he's not Sauce Gardner, but he's got some good attributes that the Giants can develop around as a number 2 behind Adoree Jackson to start his career. And then 19th overall, the Giants say, you know what? Let's solve this offensive line once and for all. Let's go out and get Zion Johnson. The Giants get Zion Johnson in 19th overall. They plug him next to Andrew Thomas. Andrew Thomas managed to be almost a Pro Bowl left tackle with legitimately no help. He had Matt Skura and Ben Bredesen last year as his left guards. That is unacceptable. Put a guy like Zion Johnson, ton of upside, next to Andrew Thomas, and you're looking at a guy who could be an all-pro moving forward. And I think the Giants finally have some good continuity, some good progression moving on in the offensive line with Zion Johnson and Evan Neal. If you really want to see what you got in Daniel Jones, you got to really provide him with a good offensive line. And if Daniel Jones fails, you go and you draft a quarterback and you have a great situation. Your offensive line is a year of chemistry, a year of experience together, and all you really need is a center because you got Evan Neal, you got Glowinski on a multi-year deal. You got Zion Johnson, you got Andrew Thomas, and maybe even John Feliciano balls out. Who knows? But worst case scenario, you sign a center. The Giants almost have $100 million next year. So it makes a lot of sense to go with Zion Johnson at 19th overall if he's still on the board. I think that's probably where he'll go if the Giants do execute something similar to this, which is unlikely, but who knows? They could do something and really get a lot of value. So Overall, this trade back scenario lands the Giants an additional 2023 first round pick and an additional 2022 first round pick. So all in all, they basically have to give up the 36th overall pick this year to acquire the 2023 first rounder. And they still get 2 first round picks. They get to pick a corner and an offensive guard, or they could go with a pass rush. They could go with a George Karlaftis, who doesn't really fit our scheme. But who knows? Maybe the Giants see him and they could be like, he could feature in a 3-point stance or a 2-point stance. He's really a down 4-3 edge rusher. So he'll really be in the 3-point stance. But if they think he could fit an outside linebacker role, he's a really, really powerful guy, really good run stopper and setting the edge and some really nicely developed moves. He's really, really good with his hands. George Karlaftis. So maybe they go that route instead of Zion Johnson. Who knows? You could argue that all day long. But 16th overall and 19th overall, starting at the 7th, is pretty damn awesome. Worst case scenario, they trade with Seattle back to the 9th pick. They get their 2023 first round pick and they go with a Jermaine Johnson. And so they get their offensive tackle and Evan Neal, and or they go Stingley and they get a cornerback or a pass rusher. So I think this is a pretty interesting draft scenario, whereas the Giants would either just go best player available or just do one trade. But I think they have so much leverage in this draft. They should just take advantage of it. Try and get as much capital as possible. Of course, Joe Schoen has already said they want to get as many swings of the bat. They have 9 picks this year. They have 2 first rounders. Why not add more? They can clear money if they need to for draft picks. They can restructure contracts. They can trade Saquon Barkley. They could do so many things to open up funding to create more opportunities. And I think they need to build a foundation now. This is straight up a rebuild. This is a rebuild for the Giants. So I definitely think it makes sense to add as many picks as possible. Hopefully they can manage to do something maybe not similar, but at least something that benefits the team long term. I think that I kind of trust management up to this point. I feel good about what they're doing and what they're saying. So with the draft coming up really, really soon in about 2 weeks, we're going to find out what they do. And of course, Daniel Jones' future hangs in the balance with his 5th-year option coming due on May 2nd. But guys, make sure to take advantage of our sportsbook promos. You can see if you're watching on YouTube right now, the QR code. You get a free bet there if you want to go and use your phone and your camera to take advantage of that. You bet $10 on BetMGM to win $200 when someone hits a 3-pointer in the NBA playoffs. It's super easy. You literally win $190 doing absolutely nothing. Someone's going to hit a 3-pointer at some point in the game. So unless you're one of the unluckiest people on the planet, but $10, you win $200, easy money from BetMGM. Take advantage of that. If you're on the YouTube, use the QR code. If you're listening via audio, shift over to YouTube and check us out. I'm going to put some cool graphics in this video so you can see exactly what I'm thinking in terms of the Giants moving back and the graphic that I build for you guys here. So I'm really excited to see what the Giants do. Of course, I would love to hear your thoughts below in the YouTube comments about what you think of this draft. And if you think it's possible, if you think it's probable, if you think that, it's definitely impossible, anything that you guys think or what players you'd swap out given the graphics. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure to like and subscribe as always. And we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Giants.